Welcome to the Six Borough Podcast, now on motherfucking iTunes. So if you haven't subscribed and you're a first-time listener, click that goddamn button. This episode, we have John Potts. This is episode number 78? 9? Who the fuck knows? But it's John Potts, round 2. Thanks for tuning in. Seriously, though, let's get through these ads, and then we'll get into the episode. So, got to give a quick nod to our sponsors, AS Engineering Services. If you have any engineering needs for your home, your property, things of that nature, engineering services, contact them, 631-560-0259, or on the interwebs at asengineeringservices.com. Also, to piggyback off your engineering needs, you might need your land surveyed, or maybe you're putting up a fence, or maybe you're getting a pool put in, or maybe you got that side bitch you want to move into your apartment. I don't know. You got to do stuff like that sometimes. Municipal Land Survey, 631-345-2658. And last but not least, RCG Mortgage. If you're a first-time home buyer or have been thinking about refinancing, give Eric Ott a call or a text at 631-774-1783. He'll get you pre-qualified and answer any questions you have. Weird, he's also a host, not a guest, on our podcast. But he's the man. That's the guy. Get pre-qualified and listen to our podcast at the same time. Like I said, this episode we got the one and only John Potts, meme master, fuckboy extraordinaire, jiu-jitsuer, Stephen Hawkins fan, ginger also, and all-around good guy. We kind of pick up where the last conversation went off. We talk about how we got interrupted by the CO2 filter going off. We talk about jiu-jitsu. We talk about some memes. But we also dig real deep into Stephen Hawkins' death, and we get super political. Him and Eric go off about finances, and I took a nap. And then I woke back up to talk more about Stephen Hawking and physics. Give it a listen.
All right, I think that's it.
Six Borough Podcast with Eric Ott, man in the engineering helm tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be scary. Hopefully this all turns out all right.
Well, the good news is I see blue wavy lines. We are recording. We're money. So, Six Borough Podcast, D-Rock,
Eric,
and our guest back for round number 2.
Jonathan, apparently fuckboy Potts. Brought it full circle from the last one.
I was hoping you were going to do your Goldberg.
Oh, Mike Goldberg?
Let's run back the intro. Go ahead. Six Borough Podcast, D-Rock,
Eric,
and our guest.
This podcast is brought to you by Corn Nuts. This podcast is brought to you by the Born Supremacy. This is Mike Gold. No, it's Jonathan Potts. Got you fuckers.
So, Potts is back for round number 2. If anybody was listening to the last one remembers, we got interrupted by the fire department barging in for the CO2 alarm.
Yeah, carbon monoxide.
Oh, sorry, carbon monoxide alarm.
Yes.
But he did say when he came in, oh, it's the CO2 alarm. And I'm like, CO2 alarm? I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe there's a CO2 tank in this building or something along those lines.
CO alarm?
Yeah, I think that's what it would be called.
I'm not up on my chemistry enough to know.
Let's look that. I'll look
I
it
don't
up.
know the periodic table well enough for that.
We're hitting the Google box.
Early.
Going strong.
So first things first, though, let's get this out of the way while Eric Googles. Rest in peace, Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking, yeah.
It's
died
the
on
CO
Pi Day.
alarm.
Died on Pi Day, and also I believe it was Einstein's birthday. At least
True story.
I didn't fact check it, but that's what the internet told me.
Do you think he knew he was going down, and he was just like, it's going to be any day now. May as well be on Pi Day. Let's off myself.
Did he off himself?
I mean, he did have a good sense of humor, so...
Wait, how did he die? Do you guys know how
No,
he died?
he didn't off himself.
They said he died in his sleep quietly, but that's how I'm going to die too, except it's going to be like a secret drug overdose.
Of course he
when I'm in my
died
90s.
quietly. He couldn't talk.
That's fucked up. Dude, no, it's even crazy. So he's quoted as like this is a paraphrase, not a direct quote, but as saying like women are the most complicated thing he's ever encountered.
Oh yeah. No, that's 100%. He said it.
Yeah, and here's the funniest thing is like, dude, the guy's dick doesn't work or anything, and he's
No, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
So wait, how?
How do you know that, Dave?
Yeah, how do you know that his
Dave,
dick
you had to
works?
put work in
I know
to
he
get that
cheated
out.
on his
Nope.
wife. I was getting to the punchline, like not even his dick doesn't even work, but he still cheated on his wife somehow. So his dick actually works.
Yeah, his dick works. So, 2014, I believe they made this. They made that movie, The Theory of Everything, and it was based on his life.
Yeah.
And they cover it in the movie. I believe he's with a friend of his, and they ask him something. And it comes out that his wife is pregnant. The guy's like, "Wait, how the hell is your wife pregnant?" And he's like, "It's a nervous system disorder." So
it's not being like paralyzed.
Yeah.
He has like really bad MS basically.
yeah,
Like,
so his
let's Google that.
that's
up.
that's
what
a
disease does he have?
I forget what the disease is,
Lou
but
Gehrig's.
yeah, he did have Lou Gehrig's. You're right. Yeah, it's ALS.
Oh shit.
So yeah, it's not a mechanical disease, so that function still works. You start tugging at his laundry, and it's
going to
dry off.
Good for him.
Yeah, that's how he had children.
Wow. Yeah. So apparently he cheated on his wife. So like
He
apparently
did with his caretaker.
Wow. Like,
What
And
did
then
she
they
look
got
like?
married.
What did she look? Oh,
Oh,
I want to
shit.
check this out. Let's check these out.
Damn, we're just
we're going
crushing Stephen Hawkins right now.
Dude, still the smartest man. I mean,
No, I'm giving him props because if that guy's pulling it,
dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, except we're gonna find out that the maid is like 600 pounds and the most hideous woman you've ever seen in your life.
I'm pretty
She-
sure she's
she-
probably not very
She
good
almost
looking.
broke. She almost broke his wheelchair.
Oh, look, there's a picture of him on his wedding day, second one.
Is that his first wife now, or is that
I
his
don't
second
know.
wife?
No,
Is
that's
that-
gotta be
is
the second
Is the
one.
blind the second one, or is that the first one?
Well,
think-
why don't you just wiki him?
I think that's the first one.
Go to his Wikipedia and pull up the facts, then we know names to look at.
For you guys not seeing, we're seeing a woman with red curly hair in a wedding picture with
I
him.
mean, for a guy in a wheelchair with no voice and his face mushed, she's not bad.
Yeah. Well, he is the smartest man on planet Earth, or was the smartest
Yeah.
man on planet Earth.
You got to say, honestly, he has to be the most mentally strong person. He got the ALS disease in his 20s and lived to be 76. ALS kills most people within 2 years.
He had apparently a very slow-moving type.
Okay, so that's
that a joke?
That's his first. So the redhead was his second wife.
So the redhead was the second wife.
Yeah, Jane was his first wife. Very interesting,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, it's like kind of you're saying pulling it, but like anytime the OK Cupid stuff, right? Like about OK Cupid, it's really just a giant like psychological examination. Like basically a bunch of psychologists started OK Cupid to study humans.
Oh, so they match you based on like personality types and stuff?
Yeah, but it's really the people who started it were starting it to observe human behavior.
Oh, so it's really just one big data grab.
Yeah, it's all one giant big data grab, OkCupid. And so, like, they have the rating system on OkCupid of, like, I'm going to bring this full circle back to Stephen Hawkins. So they have a rating system, 1 to 5 stars on how attractive someone is. You see one picture of them, and you rate them 1 to 5. So,
Wait a minute, I'm having deja vu. Didn't we talk about this last time?
Did we?
I think we might have. But go ahead, it doesn't matter. Go, no.
But
No,
again,
I'm into this.
I'm into it. It doesn't matter.
all right, so
I have a
men-
very
men-
good memory, and I don't remember this from last
So
time.
Tinder,
but not this.
Men rated women with a healthy bell curve.
Oh, yes.
The majority of women were 3s. The rest of the women were falling into the 4 and 5, and then the 2 and 1, which would be unattractive. Women rated 84% of men
Unattractive.
as a 2 or a 1.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
So women have a preference of like a small minority of men, like the alpha population, and that is it. Then
They're like, so basically they're like 10 to 20% of the population, and then the other 80%.
are
It's like,
basically like they're settling.
See, I have to
Yeah.
disagree with that, though. You know why? Because I feel like women, when they take these exams or these questionnaires, they're thinking what their best case scenario, like dream guy preferences. When in reality,
guys are thinking, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah,
it.
she's like, they're
I'm
in their mind. They're in this, little questionnaire.
They're looking for Prince Charming.
Yeah, they're crafting their perfect guy. That's why they're doing that.
And the men are just like, yeah, I'd hit it. Yeah, I'd hit it.
That's why men's rage is from like 18 to 45.
Yeah, but why, so nobody knows what you're rating. So like, what the male, nobody knows what you're giving other people. So, like, what's the incentive to not rate honestly?
Wait, they're rating actual people, you're saying?
Yeah, you're looking at pictures of people and you're rating them 1 to 5.
Oh, okay, so that's different. I thought they were doing stuff off of like a...
No, this is just one factor. I'm sure women have other factors for attractiveness besides just like the actual look. I'm sure if there was a 1 to 5 rating on personality, women's would still be in that curve that like the majority of men are undesirable.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
And I just find it like, and so
That's why.
But we're the filthy pigs, right?
Yeah. So, and Stephen Hawkins is he's the 16% of men in the genius department, in the intelligence department, who get fucking laid. So there's only like 16% of dudes who are super smart who are getting it. The rest of them are like, like Friedrich Nietzsche, like just spend the rest of their lives like wishing they got laid.
You're studying sex for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting actually because, you do hear a lot of things with women about like, and what's that stupid Marilyn Monroe quote like, if you can make me laugh, you can make me do anything.
Yeah.
Which is, I found to be very true for most women. If you are funny, women are, that's a huge thing for, that's attractive to women. Like, there's some funny guys out there who are not too attractive, but they can pull.
Yeah, but for women, I feel like it's. I mean, see now we're pretending we're women and we're visualizing how they perceive.
Don't
reality.
you do this often, Potts, with that sweater?
All the time. But I think there's
a purple sweater, by the way.
There's a limit to the comedy, how funny you are, and how unattractive you can be. Yeah.
Sure, I think it goes in both ways too, though. Like, you might not, if you're physically deformed but you're hilarious, it doesn't matter. But if you're somewhere in the middle, like say you're a strong 5 but you got a great sense of humor, good personality, it boosts you up to a 7. Now on the flip side, how many funny 5s that never make it don't get laid though? I don't know.
We're discounting the money factor.
Well, that's what this is where I'm going with it. Is what I'm saying is I think
money's huge.
It's a big deal.
Based on like, so what you're saying, like based off of what you used from the OkCupid thing, if I map this into what I've seen and what I perceived, I would say that most women start at the highest end of the attractiveness, right? And as they start to realize that, A, there's not enough men out there that meet that. B, most of the men that do meet that are not into you. It begins to come down. And somewhere, both factors meet somewhere in the middle. So they'll take a guy who's way less attractive than they normally would be, but has a great personality, is funny, and settle that within themselves probably. Because to a certain degree, here's a perfect example. I was speaking with the girl I'm dating, and one of her friends who I just met, she's like, well, I already know that she thinks you're attractive because she had talked about you once before she knew we were dating. Right? So I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm like, well, that's good for you. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's good because you don't want to date somebody that other people don't really find attractive, especially women, in my opinion, in my experience. Most women want to date a guy that other women desire. That's kind of how it works. And it's like social currency.
You think so?
I do believe so.
Agreed.
I think
it's currency.
I think that's more of a masculine.
I don't know, and I don't.
Men would rather date
I think
a
it's
woman
both.
than other men want.
I think it's both.
Yeah, but wait, okay, I'll give you an example. Every time I've been in a relationship,
I think it has to go both ways.
Of course, it goes both ways. It's social currency almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's what if women don't see, and this is like this goes. You could put this to evolutionary biology as well. If women don't see you as having value, where does it lie? And what's their first initial way to gauge that, right, is off their peer groups. If their peer groups assign value to you, you're desirable, other women would want to date you, that's going to make you more desirable to them. Like, think about this. Have you ever been single and been on a drought? You get a girlfriend and then all of a sudden a bunch of chicks want to fuck you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
That's a very good question. I mean, it's because it's
your energy changes too.
That too, your confidence changes.
Yeah, it's a lot of different factors, obviously.
I would also say that a big part of it is that a lot of women back pocket men, and when I mean back pocket, like I'll put him back there. If I need him, I can grab him. So because men are so much more thirsty for women than women are for men, women can go, oh, I don't need this guy right now. And then all of a sudden, now one of her back pocket boys is taken. Now it's like, oh, I've lost the power, the control over that person.
I tend to agree with you on that. I do think that there's scenarios like that. But that's for dudes. Yeah, but that's for dudes who allow that. You know, you can, if you're the kind of guy who hasn't, so it's probably happened to everybody at once, but some people learn from it and others don't.
Yeah, I learned from that shit in high school.
I learned from it immediately. I got time hoed.
Junior high or something like that. I remember being a kid and just being like, I'm never letting this happen again. And then when I see these losers now in my 30s and they're working their shit jobs and their livestock, I'm like, oh, I should have sucked my dick because I'm doing pretty good. You could have took a ride in the Porsche.
I think that, you know, you get treated that way and you get wise to it. Like, that happened to me. And Patrice O'Neal, this is not mine, but I'm going to repeat it. I got this from the great and powerful Patrice O'Neal. I got time hoed by a girl. And what a time hoe is basically what a guy's side chick is to women, right? So a dude will fuck the side chick, but go to the movies with his main chick, right? And fuck her and all that stuff. You reverse that. Women will fuck the dude that they really like and then go to the movies with their little, you know, back pocket time hoe.
Yeah.
You're there like, the guy I'm fucking doesn't call me hoe, the kill that spider in my room hoe, you know, the go to the movies hoe. They'll fuck all your time but not fuck you because they know you're dying to fuck them. And they do that shit.
Yeah,
and
I've seen examples of it where like I had a friend who was like,
see, now I don't believe you.
What?
You had a friend? Come on,
Yeah.
start with some facts, bro.
It was you. It was you.
Not that it, no, like I've been definitely fell into that role occasionally.
No, I just meant I don't believe you have friends.
I know. No, like, I had a close friend. Like, this is one of my boys from, you know, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to out him, but like I'm saying this dude dumped like thousands and thousands of dollars into this chick, and like nothing.
Not a drop of
and,
sperm.
Like, everybody knew but him that it wasn't going to happen. You know, like, and you try to talk to him about it, and they just don't see it.
No.
They think that like the game of them not giving it up is like proof that she's wife material. That's the craziest part to me.
Yeah.
It's like, you're trying to talk to the dude. You're like, dude, she's
No, dude's
not
brainwashed himself.
she's not into you. He's like, no, dude, she just has respect for herself.
Yeah, but she's blowing other dudes at the Bordy Barn right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even if they do, if you got that much respect for yourself, you're not the type of person that I want to hang out with. That's a lot of respect.
Yeah, that's way too much. That's
Way
too
too
high of a
much
standard
respect.
for me to
Yeah,
hold,
way
yeah.
too high. I'm not into that. I like to party.
Yeah, I like to be a little flawed. I like to have some broken parts. You know, like it just. But yeah, Stephen fucking Hawkins, huh?
Well, based on this conversation, what we're saying is if Stephen Hawking can get it done, what's your excuse?
Yeah, what's your excuse? Except
Yeah.
for he only had to solve fucking like the biggest mysteries in the history of the universe. But
Well, he didn't solve the biggest one, women.
oh, true story. Like we were talking about this before the podcast started, but Eric was saying how like a lot of people don't even like. There was kids that throwing up memes today talking shit about people who are RIPing Stephen Hawking. Like,
Really?
well, saying like you don't even know shit about Stephen Hawking. You know, it's like when Paul Walker dies, and then all of a sudden everybody's a fucking gearhead.
Yeah.
You know, like
I have a...
now all of a sudden everyone's a fucking physics expert and into cosmetology and all that shit.
I have a real
Actually,
problem.
Cosmetology is the makeup, right? Or is cosmetology space?
No, cosmetology is the makeup. It's the fabric of the universe, essentially. It's the study of the
So
origin and
it's
fabric
both.
of the...
I'm getting my mind blown right now, and I love fucking outer space.
So, I have an issue with the celebrity death thing straight away because people are just so exaggerated and rest in peace to this guy and that guy. It's like, dude, none of you people even, you don't know any of them. And let's be honest with you.
They don't give a fuck about you either.
Not only that, dude, like, listen, I got nothing against Paul Walker. I enjoyed some of his movies. I don't wish the guy dead, but when he died, my day didn't get interrupted.
I was a little upset. He was a Porsche guy, and I'm a Porsche guy, so.
Okay,
And he died in a Porsche.
But you get my point.
Yeah,
you know what
no,
I mean? It's not-
I didn't shed tears over him and lose sleep.
You didn't throw up an RIP. There's people
No
who literally
memes.
put up an RIP for every celebrity death, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's idol worship. It's really part of that whole like thoughts and prayers
You know what
crowd
it
to
is?
me.
They just want that little like dopamine
It's the-
serotonin
exactly, it's the
dump
thoughts
that
and
they get
prayers
from
crowd.
the likes.
That's what I'm saying.
They
It's
want to
the,
log onto that Instagram and see 47 likes. And
It's
they're like,
the same
yeah,
people-
That's that RIP. Ah.
it's the same people who write thoughts and prayers after a fucking tragedy.
Yeah.
It's the don't forget about me people.
They change their picture to the
yeah.
flag.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Paris.
Yeah, poor
So
Paris.
I almost didn't
Remember
even want to
Paris.
put up a thing about Stephen Hawking, but I was
I knew you wouldn't be able to help yourself, Dave.
Dude,
Dave,
Stephen Hawking stung for me a little bit. I was a big fan of Stephen Hawking. I've read most of his books, you know. A Brief History of Time was the first book I read that got me interested in physics and string theory and the origins of the universe and things like that.
What's always been difficult for me about like physics is just the mathematics. I'm such
terrible at math.
Dude, that's the problem. Like, and I wish I would have worked harder on it as a kid. Like, I was one of those asshole kids where, like, if it was too hard, I was just like, fuck that, it's not for me.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll do what I'm good at. You know, like, and now I'm an asshole who doesn't know shit.
I really loved physics in school. It was probably my favorite course that I took in high school. I wish I would have taken physics courses in college and possibly even like went to school for it. I kick myself now,
dude, because it's like the most exciting stuff in known knowledge. Like it gets me so fucking excited anytime I learn anything new about space. Like I did a course online. I'm gonna plug the website just because I have like 14 professional certificates from edX.org. You can take fucking college level courses from the best universities in the fucking country for like, you can audit the courses for free, but you don't get a certificate, or you can pay $50 and get a fucking certificate that says like, hey, I took a fucking Harvard level course and I fucking passed it with flying colors. But I took one on like astrobiology, and astrobiology is like basically how do we figure out whether there's potential life on another planet. That shit fucking gets me excited. Like, dude, we're fucking nowhere near these planets, and we can predict just by like basically how big they are. We use how big they are by the block, the sun, how much sunlight they block, and yada yada yada. I don't want to bore people with it, but we're millions and millions and billions miles away, and we can figure out whether that planet can sustain life. Like, that's how fucking smart we are as human beings.
It's the craziest shit. I mean, that's what I mean. It's mind blowing. If you hadn't had any type of intro or reference to any of those fields, physics, cosmology, astrophysics, you know.
Cosmetology is the makeup one.
Yeah, I almost just fucked that up. It's mind-blowing shit, and Hawking's book, A Brief History of Time, is the first book that was my intro to all that, and that shit blew my mind, you know. I'm terrible at the math. I don't have any mathematical skills, so I don't have any place in the problem-solving or equation field. I'm more fascinated by the philosophy sides of it. I think, you know, postulating on the what-ifs of, like, the multiverse of quantum mechanics and string theory and, you know, all those theories really, really fascinate me.
Now, are you familiar with Hawking's radiation? Like, you know,
of course,
you know what it is?
yeah.
Like, basically, where am I going to go with this?
Cosmic background.
Oh, yeah, but
background microwave radiation.
If black holes are so dense that even light can't escape, it doesn't make sense that we can kind of perceive them. They give off electromagnetic energy, right?
Right.
And so what he understood was basically, according to quantum mechanics, particles pop into existence, then collapse or collide with each other.
Yes.
I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong.
Essentially like blinking in and out of existence.
And that's actually called annihilation. So
Yep.
I've been using that word wrong my entire life, because I've been like, he fucking, dude, like, watching
It's gonna get annihilated, bro.
He fucking, dude, he's annihilating them, bro. Like, I watched the fight, and like, no, annihilation means mutual destruction. So it means if there was a fight that was an annihilation, it means both dudes just fucking, it's like anytime Cub Swanson fucking fights.
Well, and that's why the common phrase with nuclear wars, mutually assured destruction. Yeah.
Annihilation. So they pop into existence, they annihilate one another, and so what happens if it happens on the...
Are they nihilists? Oh, yeah, science pun!
Just a quick atheist joke. So there's a God Twitter account. You know, you've seen this? Yeah, it's like one of the most popular accounts on Twitter, and obviously God's an atheist on Twitter. And he writes, Stephen Hawking's been here for fucking 2 hours, and he's already mathematically proven why it don't exist.
Totally off subject. Big Steve said, "Nice sweater."
Big Steve can, you know, he just wants to fuck me. He likes dudes.
Steve, what do you say about that?
Yeah, Steve.
Anyway, so back to
so one of these particles, these pairings of particles, appear at the fucking train driving by. These pairings of particles appear on the edge of the what the fuck is it called? Event horizon, right? And the event horizon is basically the edge of the waterfall. And if you fall in, you fall into the singularity and you're gone forever. But, dude, the coolest thing I ever...
Well, the disparity in how time works inside the black hole is pretty crazy, too.
Well, that's before the event horizon. If you're falling backwards into the event horizon, you can watch, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson at least, that's who I'm using as my source.
You can watch the universe... what is it?
End. You can watch.
Yeah, you can watch it end and then rebirth, right?
Yeah. Like people watching you would just like disappear in an instant.
Yeah.
But you falling backwards, looking out at the universe, would fucking proceed. You could watch the end of the universe occur, which is fucking crazy because as you get closer and closer to a big mess, the slower time gets.
Right.
And if you haven't seen, what the fuck is that Christopher Nolan movie?
Which one?
The one with the fucking space.
The one with the
Interstellar.
space. Oh yeah. That's a great movie.
They go over time dilation when you're next to a massive black hole.
I saw. I went to the Vanderbilt Planetarium 2 years ago, and they had
that place sucks.
What? Watch yourself.
Okay, keep going, and then I'll tell you why it
They
sucks.
did a whole black holes show. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, okay, that would have been cool. I fucking took my fiance. She's from Pittsburgh. She's So she spent the summer here. That's how we figured it out before I proposed to her. She came and spent 3 months here, and I was like, "All right, this isn't just a long term."
So you kidnapped her?
Yeah, basically. I was I put her family at gunpoint, and I was like, "Listen, motherfuckers, I'm taking
your daughter out of the boonies.
Yeah,
we're going back to civilization.
This is how we do it in New York.
Pittsburgh's booming, bro. I'd rather be in Pittsburgh than Philly. That's for sure.
We have pizza and bagels.
So I took her to the fucking Vanderbilt Planetarium, and dude, it sucked.
Really?
There's some 18-year-old kid doing the narration. He's like, I'm a student at this college, and I don't know. We just didn't have fun. And know what?
What'd they show?
It was just going over the universe. It was just hey, this is where we are in the universe. This is the Big Dipper, and then we're gonna go. It just wasn't a good time. I don't know.
You had a shitty roll of the dice.
The regular guy might have been out that night, and they had
the college kid filling in.
Yeah, the college kid that usually does the kindergarten classes that come and visit during the week.
Yeah, it wasn't and he kept referencing what college he went to.
Listen, that's all he has. You ever meet somebody that's in their 18 to 26 range, and they're like, "Oh, I went to Fordham. Oh, I went to Fordham."
Are you kidding me? I know people that are in their 30s that still do that.
That's because
I know people that still go to fucking Cortica and they're 34.
Yeah, but you know what it is? That's not.
You want to go?
I'm
only turning 30 next week, so I'm under.
Uncle Rico peaked in high school. This is the whole echelon that peaked in college, so they always have to refer back.
Yeah, you're right.
Refer back. Best time of their lives.
Yeah.
And this is why Eric Ott hates nostalgia.
Fuck it.
Dude, black holes hate nostalgia too. Eric Ott is a human black hole.
You know what? That's
destroy
scarily appropriate.
Destroy and move forward. Oh, so we didn't finish. So basically, those two particles appear. One gets sent to one escapes the black hole because it's far enough away from the event horizon to not get sucked in, and the other one gets fucking sucked in. So now these two identical particles that should destroy each other, one survives, and one is stuck in a black hole. And then basically that one has the one that gets sucked into the black hole has a negative charge. So eventually once black holes run out of matter, universes, or run out of suns,
fuel,
fucking planets to fucking consume, the negative energy building up from all those pairings of particles appearing, all the negative charge will eventually make it evaporate. And that leads to a paradox though, because you have the rule
leads to the theorized start of a new universe on the end of that.
That's one of the theories to the solution to the paradox. So if black hole, so you have the rule of conservation. The rule of conservation,
thermodynamics.
That is that energy cannot be destroyed or created.
Right. Second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah. And so we're stuck in a situation.
And look, all our live viewers just left after we talked about that.
Thermodynamics, get the
I
fuck
checked.
out
I
here.
checked out 30 seconds ago. So.
But
I'm just looking at these shiny pictures on the internet.
So the information paradox is the coolest thing ever. Eric, shut the fuck up. Information paradox is basically information can't be destroyed or created. So what happens when information goes into a black hole? And that's where the theory there's the new universe theory. Basically, fucking black hole sucks, condenses, and starts blowing the energy somewhere else, creating a new universe. Or there's the hologram theory,
right?
Which is fucking crazy. Is that fucking black holes are basically just giant fucking floppy disks in the middle of fucking space, collecting all the data on the universe and encoding it.
Yeah.
and that the information's never really. I know it's really complicated to.
No, I'm not.
perceive
I'm not making a face. I'm
You made a
thinking.
face.
I'm not making a face because it's complicated. I'm making a face because it's real self-centered. It's like a real humanistic way. Like, oh, well, we don't know what black holes are, and they're sucking things. Oh, we'll just say it's like a floppy disk sucking in information because that's something we created ourselves.
No, that was
I'm
that was
oversimplifying.
Pot's way of explaining it.
Since none of us are really mathematically.
That's like
inclined.
saying Jesus was white, basically.
Yeah. Well, here's a simpler example.
Jesus was a ginger.
So, like, I throw a rock into a pond, the rock disappears from visible sight. But if you watch the reverberations across the surface, technically, we could, by measuring the way it affects the water, we can
Figure out how
its
large
volume,
the stone was.
the shape, the volume,
Gotcha.
the density, the speed at which it was thrown. All of this information can be communicated by the waves. So basically, it's saying that, like, if the black hole is sucking information in, technically we could be able to read the black hole and know
Figure out how much has gone in before.
Yeah, exactly. And
They did experience with this. It's called the buckyball experiment.
Oh, okay. So I don't even know about this.
You know, it's the particle wave experiment where they shine two different beams of light towards one object, right? And then they'll split the beam of light.
The slot, is this the slot
Yeah,
experiment?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I did never refer to it as the buckyball.
Yeah, I don't remember why it's called the buckyball. Actually, in Hawkins' not last book, the one before the Grand Design, he's got a chapter dedicated to it, and in there he called it the buckyball experiment. What did you refer to as the slot experiment? Is it?
Yeah, this is where particles can be light particles can be waves or
Right.
or yeah, and that's where
Yeah,
quantum physics
yeah,
comes from.
yeah.
So basically, you have two slots and a giant piece of fucking lead. Is it lead?
Can you
Iron?
Google buckyball? I forget why they call it buckyball.
Could you say that again? Buckyball?
Buckyball. Buckey.
Because the guy who missed the fucking ground ball in the World Series.
That's Buckner.
Imagine that was it.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
Buckner lives on and fucking.
No, put up
physics.
buckyball experiment.
I think that's it right there. The fully reading.
There you go, experiment right there. I'm trying to remember why they call it this. That book, The Grand Design, was like 2010. It's
Yeah, the double slit experiment.
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah.
yeah.
That's how I knew it.
We're losing followers
As we speak.
as we speak.
Well, listen, bitches.
Dave's gonna lose half his personal followers on his personal Instagram. Potts, I'm sure they're used to dealing with you already. You probably won't lose that many.
Dude, I have scientists tattooed on my arm. They know I'm geeky, and I'm trying to learn you bitches something. So
Yeah. Get an education. But basically, how the double slit experiment works is that
they took Kim
light
Kardashian's ass.
and
and
they
they
shot light particles into Kim Kardashian's
Yeah.
ass, and they released it as a sex tape, and it sold
Yeah.
millions.
Ray J shot one batch of sperm. Kanye West shot another batch.
And somehow, instead of appearing like
And Reggie Bush, who's in there too, I'm sure.
Yeah, he was actually birthed out of her vagina from that.
He was in the middle.
But the double slit experiment, we'll move on after this for Ott's sake. Basically, they shoot light particles at a piece of iron. The iron has two slits in it, and yet you think it would appear on the other side as two squares or two rectangles in the shape of the slits.
Right.
But what happens is it looks like a wave pattern across the back, as though it was water traveling through or sound traveling through the two slits instead of actual particles. So particles can be waves. Quantum physics, anything can fucking
Lights.
happen. Superposition. I just said words, all right?
Magnets. The fuck do they do? All right. So anyway, rest in peace, Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, we wrapped up the Stephen Hawking segment.
We'll miss you, and none of my followers will.
I have a couple questions about. Well, I have one major question about Stephen Hawkins.
How did his dick work? I'm still curious.
No, I wasn't really worried about that. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about dicks, but
Such a liar. Anybody who has to say that definitely spends a lot of time thinking about
I
dicks.
bet you
guess so.
if we pull up your browser history,
I delete that.
see,
Yeah, it's not gone forever. Google has it. Don't worry, homie.
the internet remembers.
So Stephen Hawkins, what contributions did he make for the average man? Like, what did he do anything that affected the average man in any way? Did any
That's
of
a really
things
good fucking question.
that he invented or came up with, or his theories filter down to like layman life, or were they all just for like the intellectuals and pseudo intellectuals like Dave?
So has there been
Pseudo intellectual.
Has
Wow.
the pseudo intellectuals like us.
Wow.
I mean, I definitely agree to that title. We're pseudo intellectuals. We don't know the mathematics.
You know what? I'm not taking that as negative. I didn't even think I made that cut. So that's a promotion in my opinion.
That's a very good question. I don't think, to be honest with you, I can't really think of any practical applications for what we were just talking about.
No, he hasn't. I don't think he made any.
But it's going to eventually, and I just think like
It'll trickle down.
The same way Einstein was thought as like he was. A lot of the German scientists gave him shit for not being practical, for being too theoretical. I think that's where Hawkins is right now.
Well, I would disagree. What I would say is this: Hawking made things that would be only for the intellectual palatable and digestible for the pseudo
He
intellectuals.
simplified them and explained them.
Yeah,
much
because
more...
there's no way. So if you read Hawking's first book, A Brief History of Time, right? Years later, he revised it to A Briefer History of Time, which like even dumbed it down further and revised some things he was wrong about. He made it complex things comprehensible for people like myself. I don't know dick about the mathematics or anything like that.
And that's really how that science is.
Yeah.
is communicated. It's communicated in math. So
Right.
the fact that he can put it in layman terms is actually that might be his greatest.
That is
achievement.
his great. He made science more palatable and digestible for the average person. So if you do have an interest of it, you don't get completely turned off right away with what we were just talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would say that's probably his.
He
that and also the power of his mind. I think he set a great example for what you can accomplish by having a strong mind.
I'll give you a good
Because
example.
that's all the only strength he had.
Yeah.
Was his mind, and
like
apparently,
I said-
apparently his dick and his mind.
ALS.
Now, if his dick didn't work, how much would he have accomplished?
His brain would have swelled even harder.
Like, would he have cured disease, cancer, like war?
Trying to get that dick to work again? Yes.
I mean, the guy was supposed to die in 2 years. He lived to be 76. So I think he got ALS when he was like 24. The fact that he lived that long with a disease that kills most people in 2 years.
And this victimhood society, we need more fucking people like him. People to fucking look to.
You know what? If he was born now, he probably would have remained a victim.
Yeah, well, or hopefully he would have had the same mindset and he would have fucking led the way with some of these people. Fucking just want to be the weakest people on planet fucking Earth. I'm really sick of it.
See, I don't think necessarily that society has changed that much. I think that now just dumber people who are less capable have a voice, whereas in the past they hadn't.
I think it's both.
The internet has given them, and also we live in a society that is so much easier for
everyone.
Unstrong people.
Well, that leads to the change in society. If you
Civilization.
ask me, that's what helped facilitate the change.
Our success as a species has led to more of us being alive, and thus a larger population of people who aren't resilient enough to tolerate reality.
I agree with you about
population
that.
gets larger and larger every year as life becomes easier and easier.
Right.
Yeah, and
But
that's-
also
and
I
that's the
think-
problem that leads to more and more unproductive and not strong people surviving and then just complaining about the world sucking. And I know, and they're going to go, well, you guys are just speaking from your white privilege, because that's not racism.
You were wearing a purple fucking cardigan. That's your privilege, okay?
It's maroon. Get your facts straight.
I call it advantage. It's called my genetic superiority. That's what we're going to call it.
Let's not call it that. That sounds very wrong.
We'll call it my white advantage.
That's coming off very Hitlerish.
My white advantage.
Genetic superiority. We can't go.
My
there
white
now.
advantage.
Well, I'll say this.
Do you really believe in that, though?
My white advantage.
Do you really think there's a white advantage?
I think that everybody has advantages based upon what their genetic makeup is, and I think that acknowledging only some people have a privilege is real silly. I think that everybody has a privilege. Like, you know what?
Oh, yeah, it's give and take.
It's give and take. And you know what? Some people are more evolved because the people from the region, the geographical region that they happen to be from, were more evolved in some aspect as opposed to others, and vice versa in other aspects. So, I don't think that pretending that we're all the same is the right thing to do.
No. I don't think we should pretend that we're all the same, but I also don't think that we should go around like saying that white people just have the easiest go of it for everybody.
I think that there are certain advantages.
Well, if you're talking in terms of
I
society,
think, like I have an advantage. Like I'm probably not going to get shot if I get pulled over. Is that a privilege? I don't know. It's an advantage.
But is that because you're white, or is that because how you've been raised?
it's because of society. If you ask me,
because people aren't going to be afraid of me because I drive a Toyota Prius. But you know what? If I had, if I had like a Cadillac with like giant chrome wheels and the windows were so blacked out that nobody could see.
But that has nothing to do with the color of your skin. This is a preference in vehicle, and this is a preference in vehicle that communicates that I invest a tremendous amount of money in my car.
There's advantages or disadvantages. I grew up in a town that was 80% black. I got pulled over a lot as a teenager. And I got my car searched a lot because they thought that I was there to buy drugs.
In the neighborhood.
Yes. So, like, I don't want to say I was racially profiled, but I was because I was white. But I was being racially profiled by other white people who were thinking, oh, I'm going to get this guy for going to buy pot.
Look at this teenage honky here to buy drugs.
Yeah, look, he's here to buy drugs.
I mean, I wish cops didn't have that,
Like, I'm not saying that to complain, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, it does happen, and there are advantages and there are disadvantages depending on what your situation is.
I
and where
get
you
what
live.
you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. But I also think that part of the case is that there's two things in play here, right?
The main point is nobody cares, and you shouldn't care either.
No, a lot of people care.
You should forget.
A lot of people care.
No,
you shouldn't say that nobody
A
cares.
lot of people care.
But they shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. You shouldn't care about it. You should, just like the black hole, say fuck it and keep moving forward because it's the only way to make your life any better.
Well, here's the thing. And this goes back to what Potts was saying about how modern life has made it easier so there's more people living and stuff like that. I think that society as a whole and humanity as a whole has evolved faster than our biology can. We have not evolved to catch up with how we live. There's a big disconnect, and that leads to all these existential dilemmas that manifest themselves in societal structures. I think that we're super tribal, and we're tribal for a reason. There's evolutionary advantages to that.
There's a reason to be afraid of the outsider.
Right. There's a reason for that.
That guy was going to 8,000 years ago. That guy was going to fucking murder you.
We haven't evolved past that yet, and so it's causing trouble with how we are. With the numbers of people on this planet and how these people interact with society.
We could go into like a Joe Rogan rant about how chimpanzees will rip your cock off right now.
Well, I'm just saying, but I think those things manifest themselves in what we were just speaking about. There's reasons why this shit is happening. We just haven't figured out.
Dude, case in point is like, look at Japan. I haven't been to Japan. I'm going to speak from that perspective. But I've read a lot about like what's going on over there. Basically, chicks don't want to fuck dudes.
Oh yeah, there's a huge problem.
Dudes are to the point where the chicks don't want to fuck them that they've given up on even thinking they're gonna get laid, and now they're in love with video game characters. This isn't a joke. Like they have remember Tamagotchi? They have like a complicated version of Tamagotchi that's your fucking girlfriend on your fucking Nintendo DS, and these guys date their video game characters.
Now I wonder what percentage of the population that is though, because you know that. It's always like the wackiest and the goofiest people that are the ones that get the attention. So like maybe that exists in some small like cultural enclave or some group there, but
there's something like 34% of males have no interest in sex.
See, I don't know.
It's bad in China as well.
Dude, they're having a reproductive issue because now they have an aging population and they have nobody to take care of them.
They got to get those immigrants.
Yeah, well, that's
like
get those
immigrants.
Whenever people in this country go on and on about getting rid of the immigrants, I'm like, no, bring them here. We have an aging population. We need somebody to help take care of them.
Well, we'll never stop taking in immigrants.
We have to always take them in.
There's a reason, and there's a reason that all developed nations take immigrants in. And it's because the more people that you have that are productive age, the 18 to like 60 age range, the more people you have, the more powerful your country is. And that's the bottom line. And when you look at it, if you look at the countries that take in the most immigrants, they're all countries that have the largest and most stable infrastructure. And they're all countries that are looking to evolve and move past and take over other parts. Like if you look right now at who's taking in immigrants, it's England, France, Germany, and the United States. Those are like the 4 largest countries that take in immigrants. It's not India. It's
Are we sure
not
about
China.
that? Let's Google that. I want to.
All right, in a second. It's not China. It's not Russia because they don't have the infrastructures in place to handle them.
I'm a history major. That's what I did.
So am I.
That's what I did in college. And based on my knowledge, so we're coming from the same perspective, and that's probably why we're seeing it. But that was what we were always taught, that human beings were the number one.
We're batteries.
We were the,
It's like putting another battery into your car.
We were the most essential resource any country could have. If you're in the middle of the fucking desert, doesn't matter as long as you have fucking people, because people will solve problems. People will be like, how do we get water to this fucking desert? How do we fucking grow crops in this desert? As long as you have humans memes, yeah, purely just memes. But memes aren't. You're like, we're joking, but that's actually the truth.
No,
it's
I know.
Memes. It's spreading ideas, and our ability to spread ideas makes us so fucking powerful. It's unreal.
And before immigrants, it was increasing your country's birth rate. If you were a ruler, you would give monetary gifts to families that had more children, so there would be birth incentives. And this was like if you look back in history and you look back prior to World War I in Europe, they would actually have spies that would try to keep track of birth rates in countries. So if you were Germany and you were like talking about France, you'd say, oh, they've had a record year of births in this country. It's been a record year for the last 5 years. They're going to have to watch out in another 15 years because there's going to be a tremendous population increase in France, and more people mean more soldiers.
Yeah.
And that eventually transferred into immigrants, because what happens when you get an immigrant? You don't have to raise them from 0 to 16. They're just people that immediately come into the workforce or immediately ready for your military.
Wow, I like that perspective. Now, where did you get that from?
I came up with it myself.
What? Oh, we're gonna call that the op theory.
I haven't put a lot of thought into naming it. I'm actually writing a paper about it right now.
That's fucking genius, because that's 100% set. Now we don't have to waste the money. So we're not paying for the upbringing of this child.
Yep. We bring them in.
We're getting a fully functional adult who can perform basic tasks.
There'll be a year or two for them to assimilate, and then they're going to take a job that nobody else wants.
And also, this gives us incentive to improve education in other countries without actually increasing the economic situation. So we can dump money into other countries' education system, but not really dump money anywhere else, and hope that they just come to America because they go, oh, look, America's so great. They're giving us all this money for education. So we educate. We like kind of. Not completely paid for it because it's so expensive. It's more than how much does it cost to send a kid through elementary school in this country?
I don't know what total is, but yearly it costs about $30K a year is what they say.
$30K a year.
Yeah,
so
28 to 30.
So if we could send fucking $5K down to fucking Honduras, and they can produce the same kind of adult for the same price. Dude, that's crazy.
Did we just start a human trafficking business?
Dude, he just blew my mind, though, because I love economics, and I've never been thinking about that. I was always just open borders because let's be honest, if we want to live in a free country, you can't be telling people they can't come here. I don't have, I'm an open borders guy on the policy of, like, come here, get yourself on the books, work like everybody else. I don't give a shit. Yeah,
but we don't have that here right now. I have a whole piece and a whole theory on the economics of immigration and why. I mean, we had Obama in office for 8 years, and nothing changed for any of the immigrants that were here illegally.
Yeah.
Then prior to that, we had Bush here. We had Bush in for 8 years. And both of them, at certain points of their presidencies, had total control of the Congress. And nothing happened under either of the last two presidents for 16 years. Prior to that, we had Clinton in for 8 years, and he did nothing as well. But if you look back, you hear the sound bites on Facebook. All of them spoke about it, addressed it, yet did nothing.
Well, have you ever heard the way Clinton talked about immigrants? You think he's a fucking Republican.
Yeah, but regardless of how any of them spoke, nobody did anything. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why nobody did anything. And the first one that I'll mention, because illegal immigrants come here and they all work on the same or a few social security numbers. So, like, I've worked in construction before, and we would have our guy in HR say, we have like 47 people working on this site out of 2,000 that are all under 2 social security numbers. And that's what happens here. So
yeah,
you have multiple people, say you have 5-10 people all paying into social security, and none of them are ever going to receive it because they're here illegally. So illegal immigrants are propping up our Social Security system, which is falling apart right now. So that's one of the major reasons why.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the major reasons why we don't change any policies, regardless if it's Democrats.
I think more have to just work straight off the books.
Well, many of them do that as well. And where do they send their money?
Back home.
And why do we want the U.S. dollar to be sent out of the United States? Isn't that bad for us technically?
No.
For the average person.
For the average
person, isn't that bad for us?
But global demand for our currency increases the authority of our currency.
It does.
Why bilateral trade with like China and Russia scares us.
Have you ever had a conversation with a normal person that's understood that?
People who actually know their shit about economics know that we want everything to be traded in American dollars.
The more dollars that are out there, the less likely we are to have a foreign country try to oust us or overthrow our
Creates
currency as
dependency.
well.
Yeah.
It does create dependency.
Well, that's. I mean, look
and
at.
it also increases our value because now there's a desire for American dollars out in the market. So
Look at the Middle East over the last 6 years. What do you think that's about?
Well, that's the exact reason why we're such an because we basically cut a deal with not OSHA. What is it? What is the
OPEC.
OPEC.
We're the petrodollar.
Yeah, the petrodollar, which is the American dollar. Oil is only trade in
On American dollar.
an American dollar.
And if you look at the countries that I won't say we, if you look at the countries that had rulers prior to the year 2000, and now the rulers are no longer there.
Oh my God, they weren't trading in American
Oh,
dollars.
look, they started taking gold and euros for oil.
Well, yeah, that's the story of the last 6 years in the Middle East.
Dude,
I mean,
and then
Gaddafi,
even better,
Libya,
Gaddafi,
gold. Saddam Hussein wanted to go trade petro on gold.
Iran is the last standing country,
Yeah.
and also even crazier is that fucking Russia was bilaterally trading oil with fucking China
And India.
Yeah, proxy wars.
But they were using the Chinese currency to trade, and all of a sudden, Saudi Arabia, instead of slowing production as they always do to keep the value of oil artificially high, continued producing at the same rate. That's why gasoline dropped from fucking $4 a gallon down to fucking, and it was to fucking bankrupt the Russian government.
Yeah, it was to fuck Russia.
And it was because they were trading oil without using American dollars.
Yep.
And people like just navigate their everyday lives, not realizing that like they're in the middle of some fucking giant skirmish between superpowers.
Do you want to know what the saddest thing is? What you just said, OPEC's overproduction of oil, and the devaluation of oil now in the United States. Basically, the price of oil and gas got cut in half over the last decade. That's probably made the biggest difference in the average American's bottom line than any policies that any politicians have come up with or put through. Just dropping the price of oil. I mean, I know my home heating oil prices. Like, I bought my house when oil was basically like $5 a gallon, and I remember thinking, "Wow, I spent like $12,000 to heat my house this year. This is crazy. I can't believe like adults have to do this every year."
Yeah.
And then now, I've been in my house for 8 years, and I spend half that just because the price of oil went down.
Dude, all these people before oil dropped in price, all these people switched over to natural gas.
Yeah, and now
they
that's
get
higher.
fucked. Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. That's why solar almost seems like the most realistic way to fucking heat your house and all that stuff.
Yeah, but they won't even let you do it right. I have a perfect
They want
roof.
you on the grid.
I have a perfect house to have solar panels put up, but I have to wait to get solar panels because they won't let me max my roof out. So what I'm going to do
Why
is
won't they let you max your roof out?
because they take your last 2 years average of electric bill, and they'll only let you put that many panels on your roof,
Dude.
enough to almost break even. And that's the way that it works right now with LIPA.
Right now, fuck the government
Yep.
in this regard, dude. The Tesla batteries, same shit. They fucking won't let you just fucking throw solar panels and a Tesla battery on your house.
Well, you can do it. You can do it and figure it out yourself. But you're not. There's no company that's allowed to do that for you. Like my whole spiel, what I plan to do to get myself. I don't want to get off the grid.
It's extremely dangerous, though. The battery storage and all that stuff.
I'm not gonna.
It's complicated beyond my.
I'm not going to do any of that. What I'm doing is I'm going to put an addition on my house. I'm going to put electric heat in my house, and I'm going to put a heated driveway in. It's going to be all run by electric, and I'm going to suck it up and pay a very high electric bill for 2 years, and then I'm going to put solar panels on my roof, and I'm going to eliminate a giant, vast amount of my fixed costs for living.
That's a smart move. And then you fucking have a heated driveway, which is fucking golden.
My neighbor has one. I'm jealous. Every time it snows, he turns that bitch on, and you just see the snow fall on it and melt, and I'm just like, oh, fuck this dude when I'm out there with my shovel, my snowblower.
You just like contemplating murdering him.
No, I got envy. I got driveway envy.
Well, yeah,
driveway
well,
envy.
That's a thing, huh?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's basically like a modern story out of the Bible.
In the Northeast.
Cain and Abel,
Yeah.
driveways.
Yeah, like
Romulus and
Thou
Remus.
shalt not covet thy neighbor's driveway.
Romulus and Remus. I'm gonna like run over there with my snowblower and start blowing snow onto his driveway. Fuck that guy.
is Steve calling me liberal? Fuck Steve.
Yeah, they've been shitting on you. Steve and Luigi have been shitting on you for about 5-10 minutes.
Well, that's because Steve and Luigi both like blow each other on the weekend. And I don't mean that as a negative thing. I'm just saying they're two dudes who like to blow each other.
Hey, that's more action than I'm getting. So
Yeah, if that challenges their sexuality, that's their problem. But dude, this podcast is everything so far. I am unbelievably impressed with like your economic understanding. Like that whole idea.
I have a library in my house. I have a library in my house that's primarily filled with economics and financial history books. I'm like real big into currency wars that have gone on over the years between like gold and silver and shekels and like different types of bullion.
I listen to Peter Schiff. That's like really where I get my.
I got into him when I was in high school.
Okay, showboat.
No. Sorry. No. I haven't read one of his books in probably over a decade.
Yeah.
But I really liked listening to him when he came on Joe Rogan's podcast that one time.
Oh yeah, was that long ago? No?
It was super. I think he came on in the last year. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was a couple of years ago.
Oh, was it?
But
no. He was just on recently in.
Was he?
Yeah, because he just moved his hedge fund down to Puerto Rico because they have some very great laws as far as if you're running a financial type business down there.
Yeah. And he's such a smart guy. I mean, I got turned on to him because of Ron Paul. Obviously, I'm a Ron Paul convertee. I was a Republican, registered Republican, and then Ron Paul came along and like the shit he was saying, I was just like, yeah, I'm a libertarian because I'm all about weed and fucking guns and freedom, and it all aligned with who I was. And then he turned me on to the Von Mises School and the Hayek School of Economics, and Peter Schiff obviously being
like the Mises Institute and all those like Ludwig
von
von Mises.
I
don't know. I can't pronounce it
it's
either.
The same, I always had that problem with Friedrich Nietzsche. I was like, it's Nietzsche or Nietzsche. And like some scholarly asshole has to come along and be like, I was like, you know what? I've read both of his books. He's got like 6 books. I've read 2 of his books. Go fuck yourself. I don't have to pronounce his name correct. But yeah, Schiff is fucking great. Like, dude, he was explaining to Rogan about the minimum wage, about how like it's basically fucked young people out of the market. It's impossible for a young person to get a start nowadays without basically selling himself as a prostitute.
Yep.
He's saying, like, you have to go be an unpaid intern for, like, 3 years at a fucking super corporation. And so your parents have to be rich enough for you to afford to be an unpaid intern for fucking 3 years at the best companies in the world for you to get your fucking start.
Yep.
Because you can't get an affordable job. It's crazy.
You can't afford to go to college anymore either.
Oh, it's unreal. It's unreal. Dude, well, college is bullshit. I think we can all agree that college is bullshit. That this education can be done online, and with the
it will be eventually all online, and we will eventually only have like the smartest minds. Dave in the microphone.
Dave in the microphone.
What's going on, Dave?
It's a tale of two
What's
cities.
going on, Dave? What's going on,
shut
Dave?
up. Keep talking. Just stop. Keep talking.
What's going on? You having problems over there? You getting up your old ants in the pants?
What happened?
They asked me if I walked out today about gun control.
Steve asked him if he walked out today.
But,
what happened today? Oh, because today is...
well, sir, because I'm a fucking libertarian. They can't tell the difference between a libertarian and a liberal.
And a liberal?
Yeah, so they call me the liberal. That's my name at the gym. But, yeah, where the fuck were we? I just lost myself.
We were talking about...
Peter Schiff.
Peter Schiff.
He likes to yell. It's awesome.
And Austrian economics.
Yeah, Austrian economics. Good shit. No, just it blew my mind. Fuck, where were we? That was not. We were way past that, and then fucking Steve wrote something about me walking out. That piece of shit. But I don't know. It blew my mind once I learned the libertarian lifestyle. I mean, and obviously it has.
What is the libertarian lifestyle?
Well, the libertarian lifestyle.
I've never heard it described as a lifestyle.
This sounds like a man who takes liberties with, I don't know, man-to-man sex.
Libertine?
No.
Are you a libertine?
Well, okay, so libertarians are basically, I don't give a fuck what you do.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. Just
fuck who you want to fuck. Just leave me alone.
As long as it's not negatively affecting me, I don't care what you do. So, hey, I don't care if you're a heroin addict. Long as you don't break into my house and try to steal shit from me, do you. It's not my fucking problem. I don't care who you're.
Yeah, but when you
lunch
say
with.
the libertarian lifestyle, it makes it sound saucy.
Yeah, it does sound a little scary. I've never heard that before in my entire life, and
libertarian lifestyle.
I come from a family of libertarians.
Living
but
that
I've never even heard
libertarian
it.
life.
I've never heard that. Live life. Hashtag that.
Hashtag live life, fuckboy. Holla.
Dude, it's just like to me, like I'm in the camp where like occasionally
You look like the kind of guy who would camp.
I love camping. You don't like camping?
I could see you wearing that sweater or like a flannel out camping.
But when he's camping, he smokes a pipe. You're that guy.
These guys are talking so much.
I could
shit.
see you
Distracting
making
me.
like a
I'm gonna
real
stop looking
special
at it.
fire too. Like Dave and I were
Dude,
just
I
like
was in the Boy Scouts.
we would
dude.
just like throw logs and like get some newspapers. You'd be like, no, you have to do this, and you'd like stack all the logs like a
Wait,
special
how
way.
do you guys know me this well?
You got to burn a certain type of wood.
Dude.
It smells like blueberries.
Dude, I was a fucking life scout, dude. I quit,
what?
A life scout. I quit right before Eagle.
I don't know what that means.
So Boy Scouts, the highest rank is Eagle, and I left at Life Scout because in the 10th or 11th grade I got.
Did
too
you have
fucking cool for it. I was
Joe
like,
Paterno as a scout leader?
I wish. At least I would have got some action. But dude, it wasn't Paterno. It was the fucking other creep.
Yeah, Sandusky.
Paterno was just covering it up. But
He's like, he just likes to tickle them.
dude, I don't know. Like it was like leading a secret life when you were in the Boy Scouts.
Man, Luigi's talking a boatload of shit.
Yeah. Well,
All right, that's distracting. Turn him off.
yeah. Just because Luigi.
He left anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, because he knew I was gonna tap him.
Oh,
Friday.
shit.
At Zombie.
All right.
Zombie is like a ridiculously early training session. If you guys don't know, whatever. Okay.
Keep drinking those beers. This is getting awesome. I like you're getting saucy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sleep here in the studio tonight.
That libertarian
We'll let
life.
you leave
That
the.
libertarian life. Cop pulls me over. Libertarian life. What law did I break besides drinking, motherfucker? Fries, motherfucker. You ever see that meme? You ever see that fucking meme from fucking Dexter?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Touching that mic, Dave. Touching that mic.
Yeah,
Dude,
and he
I
was
gotta
also-
touch
did-
it. It's
did
not
you-
like I'm
did
making
you hear-
sounds with it.
Did you hear when he was
Chewing
his
gum. Yeah, he's chewing gum. We all
Yeah.
hear that, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn your volumes up on your headphones.
guys hear that?
I'm trying not to breathe into the microphone, and he's just
It's
chewing.
a-
his gum.
Oh, take my hat off.
Deal with it.
Deal with
Libertarian life, bro. Do what I want.
Libertarian
Chew
life,
gum.
dude. And
Ruining that listener experience.
Yeah,
Dave
that's
Delaroca.
that's the geniusness behind libertarian life is that it forces people to conform to some kind of social norms because basically socialist life goes, hey, I'm going to be the biggest piece of shit possible, and guess what? The government will pay for me to do it.
Yep.
And it's like people don't realize that actually having to like participate in the market actually makes you a good person because people don't want to do business with me if I don't operate in a way that is respectful to the market. So if people don't want Dave fucking chewing his gum in the microphone, we're gonna know by the lack of viewership. They're gonna go fuck.
They are
Dave.
going to shut off 5 seconds after Dave starts getting it in.
Not for nothing, we just had 10 viewers on my live Instagram, so you guys can suck that dick.
10 viewers. We're basically famous.
Had 10.
At 10.
Had
Yeah,
10.
You
And
started,
then
you started talking about your little odd algorithm, and everybody tuned out.
Dude, the odd algorithm's hot. I like where it's at. Dude, it was a revelation for me.
I've got a couple more of those, but they're all things that I've been working on like quietly for a while.
Just out them, bro.
I don't think I can. I don't know that I can convey them in a very understandable manner.
I hear you. What are you doing over there?
Dave's texting.
I'm ending the live feed.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying all the shit talk I was getting. Just
You
'cause I'm
got,
wearing-
yeah, you stirred the pot there. a
Just
little
because I'm wearing a sweater. Sweaters are like when you're living libertarian life, you don't think twice about a sweater. But apparently,
That live life.
that live life, you know, when you're doing it. Fuck, Stephen Hawking though. That's just the segue back to everything. Like anytime there's a lull in the conversation,
Stephen fucking
Fuck,
Hawkins.
Stephen fucking
Rip.
Hawking.
R.I.P.
So, what else, Potts? I mean, we can cover a lot with you. You're a pretty versatile guy, but I wanna hear what you want to talk about.
I mean, right now going on in my life, I was offered a fight with my boys at Triton Fights, amazing, and then the kid didn't want to fight. We agreed to the fight at 165 pounds.
Do you want to say who or no?
Nah, okay. I'm not gonna. You know, he's out there doing his thing. He's hustling.
He's living that lib life too.
He's living that lib life. And then the kid wants to fight at 155 pounds. It's like, come on. I'm a 170 pounder. For me to cut down 5 pounds, I love how I just jumped into this. Like, we just went from fucking Stephen Hawkins to fucking Eric Ott economics.
This is a lib life podcast.
This is a podcast.
We do what we want
for anybody who has ADD and likes jumping subjects.
No. This is a podcast for anybody who's got well-rounded interests.
Yeah, and so for both of you guys, how do you feel about because I've pulled out of fights, so like. But still, it still irks me. Still, like, and this was.
It depends how fast and how soon after and how long before.
If you have a legitimate reason, if you're injured, you got to pull out.
It depends on the injury, man. I've had guys.
I said a legitimate injury.
I've heard guys pull out for their big toe, or something like that, and it's just like your big toe's gonna get fucked up if you're actually kicking properly anyway. Like if you're fucking throwing the kicks out there, you're gonna break a lot of your toes in a fight anyway. Right. So like, come on. I don't know.
If you have a legitimate injury, I understand it. Like, I pulled out of a fight because I tore my labrum.
Yeah,
and I tore it 6 days before the fight. Ooh. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
I don't even really comment. I don't want to even comment on it. I've had so many people pull out of fights with me for a multitude of all reasons on the spectrum. At the end of the day, I don't even really acknowledge them. I just sort of like take a mental note as to who they were, and then if any of like my friends or acquaintances agree to fight them down the road, I'm just like, listen, man, that guy, he's like, he pulls out, so you might not be actually fighting him.
Yeah. Between you, me, and a few other people that we know, I think we've had the most fights pulled on us.
Yeah, but I mean, you just get used to it as an amateur. Everybody's a clown. Nobody takes it seriously. Even as professionals, people don't really take it seriously.
Little Eric had a string of people pulling out of fights like I've never seen before, ever. Hugh McKenna had that too, as well.
And also, dude, it fucks guys' careers. Like, if you get a reputation for being a bad motherfucker, people don't want to fight you. And then, like, Eric Longneck. I don't even know Eric's last name. He came from Vamos. Now he's at Monster.
Oh, from Connecticut. Tall Eric.
Connecticut,
yeah.
Tall Eric. We call him Longneck. He fucking was telling me. I didn't know he was a fucking professional fighter. And he was saying that fucking dude, he was forced to go professional because nobody would fight him in amateur.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what happens after a while. I mean,
dude, he had one fight in amateur, and that was it. Then he had to go pro because nobody would fucking fight him. Like,
especially if you're from Connecticut or you're from like an area, you're not traveling to like New York metro area to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a big talent pool in most areas. Like you look at where we are right now, we're in New York, so we're getting guys from pretty much everywhere, all over New England, out west to Ohio, and then south as far as Florida. We have people that come up from Florida
that girl
to fight.
Jada comes up from Florida to fight in
so
New York.
If you think about it, like we're almost at like maybe here and California are like the epicenters for MMA. And if you look like, I don't know, I'm out of people to fight at amateur.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had since I started fighting again, like 3.5 years ago, I had 5 fights, and like, I'm out of people. And that's just what it is. You put together a couple of wins, and there's just nobody left in the pool.
Especially at your weight.
If you're bigger, it is more difficult.
Bigger guys, the bigger you get, the harder it is to find fights.
Yeah, I'm like right on that borderline at 85. But if you're a 205 or a heavyweight, forget about
it. Yeah, you're fighting like 2 amateur or 3 amateur, whatever. What's the minimum now to go pro in New York? 5.
Is that what it is?
I think there's a minimum amount of fights. You need like 5 amateur fights now in New York to go pro.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you can't just go pro anymore. You gotta fight.
No, I mean, that's just something that they made up with no basis behind it. Like somebody just came up with that.
That's a good recommendation to get.
It is. I think it is, but I think it's like unrealistic for some people.
Who enforces that?
I'll tell you.
The fight commission.
Do you want me to tell? Do you want me to tell you?
If you leave New York and you go get pro somewhere else, you can come and fight in New York as a pro.
Yeah, and you want to know how enforceable it is? This is how enforceable it is. We have a guy that only has 4 amateur fights, but we need somebody to take this fight on the card in our bid.
So we just say he has
so we just do it. That's how.
Well, because I know in boxing there's a unified amateur commission that does it. You have to have a certain amount of amateur wins and bouts before you can turn pro.
Yeah, but those dudes fight like twice a week, though.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is that's actually I know who enforces that. MMA does not have that type of structure.
Well,
who the fuck is enforcing that?
It's state by state. So like,
So New York State is now saying that if you want to fight professionally in New York, you have to have at least 5 amateur bouts.
yeah, but if you go to fucking New Jersey and you fight in New Jersey and you get your professional status there, you can come and fight in New York.
This
as
whole
professional.
shit's a joke.
Or if you go to like fucking Illinois, you could probably just turn pro with no MMA training at all.
The guys who help us film, or no, was it Eric? The guy who commentated you, Eric. Not Ott, but
Eric Dame.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I think he was the one telling me about like if you don't win enough, if you start losing, they send you back down to amateur in some fucking state.
Really?
So in some state you can go pro, and then if you're getting your ass kicked in pro, they send you back to amateur.
They should just tell you you're not allowed to fight anymore. Like, yeah, you got no business. There's no
That's
career
crazy.
left for you.
Well, if you want to keep training, you want to keep fighting, I respect that. But that's hilarious. Like,
If you turn pro and they're like, nah, man, you got to go back and fight guys that only got 3 fights, it's like, it's time to stop. I don't think you keep going.
Yeah, this isn't like a pickup basketball game.
oh, did I tell you fucking guys that so I got knocked out by a 40-year-old. This is a true story. I was beating the guy and caught me
In
you know,
MMA?
Yeah.
When?
He was a writer for Vice. He's the he created. It doesn't exist anymore because Vice is like folded there. Now it's just Vice Sports.
Fightland or whatever?
Fightland. He was the co-producer, co-founder of fucking Fightland, and I fought
Really?
him. And I'm beating this dude up, and he catches me with an overhand right behind the ear. You know, I collapsed like a fucking, you know, like somebody threw a garbage bag.
What show was this in?
It was ACC. It was when ACC and Platinum Glove or KTFO merged.
Okay.
It was
Oh, the Worlds Collide or
Worlds
whatever.
Collide card. And, so I'm beating this guy up, and they pull us off the fence. I counted the strikes because obviously I rewatched this fight 9 million times because it's my fight, and I got fucking beat by a 40-year-old. So I watched the fight 1 million times. And, like, I fucking threw, in a matter of a minute and a half, I threw, like, 15 punches and 3 knees. And for some reason, I was holding him against the fence while doing this. The ref pulls us off the fence. Pulls us off the fence. We exchange a few punches. He hits me with an overhand right. I was throwing a right cross at the time, so you know if we throwing like a traditional boxing right cross, your knee collapses underneath you. You know, like you roll your hip over and everything. And so when he hit me, I fell down. You know, I passed the concussion test. But anyway, this guy beats me. He's writing a fucking book. It's his only MMA fight, and he's writing a book about training 2 years to fight. And the end of the book, the capstone of the book, is fucking knocking me out.
Oh, is he going to use your name, do you think?
Yeah, I gave him credit. I told him he could. I'm not shameful. I don't care. You get caught, dude. You get caught. Like,
Oh, he contacted you about it?
no. I mean, I contacted, because we didn't talk after the fight, and I contacted him like, hey, you know, best of luck to you. And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, hey, why do they call you Poetry Potts? And I was like,
Because I'm a poet?
because I write poetry. And so I sent him some of my poetry. He's actually using some of my poetry in the book. So that's also why my ego got the best of me. Like, getting knocked out, having some of your writing published.
Best of both worlds.
Which one is it? Which one do you want to give up? You know, like, but no, the dude's writing a book.
So he's like Sam Sheridaning it.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
Sam Sheridan
Dude,
wrote A Fighter's Heart and A Fighter's Mind, and he
only fought once.
well, he fought once in Thailand, and he had one MMA fight as well. But essentially, yeah.
Same situation. This guy just basically, he was writing an MMA column for fucking Vice and decided that he had to do it.
What's his name?
Josh Rosenblatt, I think. Rosenblatt's the last name. You can look him up. I looked him up. As soon as I looked him up, I'm like, dude, because that's what happened. Johnny Piero, good guy. I'm friends with him on Instagram. Staten Island kid. Staten Island UFC
Yeah.
kid.
Good wrestler.
Yeah. Me and him were supposed to fight. He pulled out of the fight. And fucking Nick offered me Josh Rosenblatt, and I fucking Googled the guy, like, you know, trying to find out some research. Trains at Renzo Gracie's, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm like, hey, Nick, what's the guy's background? This is where Nick fucked up. Nick tells me he's a jiu-jitsu guy. Kid's at Renzo Gracie's, but, like, his focus is MMA.
Right. Why are you in images, Eric?
I was trying to find a picture.
Oh,
of
there
that.
it is. Yeah, that's him knocking me out right there. That's literally when it happened. You can. It's actually. Oh my God, it's embarrassing. There it is. There he is. Yeah.
Oh, articles about Josh Rosenblatt. Fight
Oh,
night.
YouTube. Josh Rosenblatt TKOs.
Oh, we're gonna pull this up right now.
My MMA news. Yeah, thank you. Let's see.
Damn,
Shout-
Eric's
shout-
going for the gusto right now,
Can we
putting it
play-
on the screen.
Dude, it's-
Shout out to our boy Kyle Carroll.
Here we go. Here's the whole fight. Because you'll see that I was winning the whole fight. Derek was yelling at me for doing the limp arm in the front. You know, I got a strong wrestling base. So right now I'm holding him against the fence. Then I start throwing fucking punches. You know, there was one. Maybe.
Was this the game plan to put him up on the cage?
I've been training with Chris Cope, and if you know Cope's style is grinding against the fence. So like, it just so happened that like it just felt natural. I'm a wrestler too, so.
Is this your first MMA fight?
Oh, it's my second.
Your second MMA fight.
I actually fought.
Your first one, you had your knee. You had a knee injury. Is that correct?
No,
or your opponent
he fought Chris Machi.
Oh, your opponent had a knee injury?
Yeah, I picked Machi off of the ground and dropped him back down, and he tried to post a leg out, and I tore his, whatever ended up tearing in his leg. Yeah, I was surprised you guys didn't give him shit on the podcast for losing to me. For how much shit I get, yeah. So, you know, like, I don't know, I felt like I was working.
I don't give people shit for what happens to them in their fights.
Yeah,
because they're in a fight and they're actually like doing something that most people are armchair quarterbacks about.
I don't give anybody who steps in there and puts it on the line deserves respect. I don't give anybody any crap about what happens in the fight.
So I'm not working as much as I thought I was in this fight. You know,
I mean, you're staying active. I mean,
Dave and I are real adamant about while we're doing our commentary about we're never saying anything real bad about the fighters.
Never.
Yeah.
Or
Never.
ever disparaging.
You're in the Joe Rogan camp. Can't be calling people bums.
And you're not even that. Like, you shouldn't. Like a normal person, like, we, more than anyone, have the right to call them bums because we do the same thing. But it's not right to do that because you're not a bum if you get into a cage in front of hundreds of people and you fucking fight another guy because... Comparatively speaking to other sports, like when you lose in football, you lose in baseball, your team loses. When you lose in fighting, you not only lose, but like you have your masculinity taken away from you. Like it's not like losing in some other sport.
Yeah, and I believe that there's a way to if you see something that is worth criticizing, there's a way to do it tastefully without telling people that they can't do it right or they look lost.
Yeah, this is where it happens. You'll see. I fucking throw a right cross, and he lands right on my ear. Apparently, it's
this was at 170.
This is 170, yeah.
A lot of jabs. I mean, there you go, yeah.
And dude, quick. It was a quick call. I mean, I'm more disappointed, you know, because I looked up and I saw the ref waving in my face, so I knew what was going on.
I think it was a little fast, you know.
Yeah,
it's the way you fell that made it look that way.
Like I said, because I was throwing that right cross, and because of Derek, Derek is a traditional boxer, so the way I learned to throw punches, I turn all my, I put out the cigarette every time I fucking throw a punch.
Which is the way you're supposed to do it.
Well, I've heard, so Gordon Trucks, when I did some time at Longo's, Gordon had a good observation was, dude, boxing, nobody's kicking you in the fucking legs. You can be twisting your legs like that. Yeah, it puts more power behind your punches, agreed, but he goes, nobody's kicking you in the fucking legs. So every time you throw a punch, if you're twisting and turning your hips and legs like that, you're asking to be kicked because your feet are planted.
I don't know if I agree with that logic.
He's not the greatest striker either, but there's different levels to striking.
Yeah.
And somebody that's achieved a higher level of striking and understanding of like the game and distancing and timing will realize when they can turn all the way into a cross and let it go, and when they have to throw it pitter patter. And like, I'm not saying by any means that I'm at that level all the time, but I have moments of brilliance, whether it's in sparring or in fights, when you just know that this is the time. And it's not like when it's like, yeah, I know, and then you know for 5 seconds. You have probably 1/100th of a second where you know this is where I double down on what I'm doing.
It's not even a question.
And when it works, it's magical. And when it doesn't, you get fucking knocked the fuck out.
I think that's a different conversation. What I think we're talking about in terms of mechanics and efficiency, like not turning your feet to maximize your distance and power on a punch.
Well, it depends what your range is too. I mean, sometimes
you
have to turn more than others.
No, but that's the whole point of it, is that if done correctly, you increase your range on your punch, which in theory increases your power. You shouldn't be sacrificing that because somebody can kick you in your leg.
Yeah,
I can't see an
saying,
argument for that.
You're saying that until the guy's landing multiple leg kicks while you're
Right, so check them.
While you're whiffing up.
You check them.
You can't. Okay, but if you turn, so I'm throwing the hook and I twist.
Yeah, so, but are
now
do you really believe that somebody has somebody that your average? You think Josh Rosenblatt
not Josh
has
Rosenblatt,
the ability
but
to precision time your right cross and throw a leg kick and take your feet?
Does.
I've precision time stuff before,
Listen,
and you know when it's going to work.
A good fighter
you know when
does.
you know when something's going to work, and
The
you,
only
and you
way-
know when you're
I'll
like
give you-
iffy.
I'll
The
give
only
you
way
an
that's
example.
happening is if you are telegraphing your
Diaz brothers-
your cross.
the
If you're
Diaz- the Diaz-
telegraphing it, yes.
The Diaz brothers are boxing trained. How do their legs look at? Gilbert Melendez, same camp, boxing trained.
That's because they didn't check leg kicks.
Because you can't check leg kicks.
You
when
can
you're
check
twi-
leg
when
kicks,
you're
though.
Twisting your legs.
Yep, but so you don't. You're giving one instance only. If you're punching, you're susceptible to leg kicks.
Yes.
Okay, but the thing is, what you have to do is control your range better. You need to come inside and jam up that distance and turn over on your punches. Then
Yeah, but we're talking about someone's second MMA fight.
And we're also
no, but he's talking about technique in general.
I'm talking
not
about
not for
technique in
him.
general, yeah.
We're talking about in general for anybody. I don't mean just for his
we're
fight.
also talking about milliseconds of calculation.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, that's why I think
Yeah.
it's a terrible. I don't agree with that logic.
I mean, I can see where the logic applies. Do I still turn over on my punches? Yeah, every single punch I still turn over.
I don't.
With my jab,
I don't.
My jab, I step in every time I throw a jab. There's very rarely that I throw a jab and I don't step in as I throw the jab. I'm always closing distance as I throw a jab. And then my right cross and my left hook, I'm always twisting like I'm putting out a cigarette with my feet.
I know, but when you watch like the highest level guys don't even do that.
What?
The highest level guys don't even do that.
Don't do what? Turn over their punches?
Yeah, not all of them.
And that's
Like
what he's
who?
arguing against me. I was saying that Gordon Truck said, don't turn over on your legs because you're fucking...
I'm not
Who
saying-
doesn't turn their punches over?
You're forcing yourself to plant your feet. You're losing mobility.
If you're throwing setup punches, there's no reason to turn them over. It just takes up extra time.
Yeah, but that's different. I'm talking about if you're throwing. I'm not. If I'm.
All right. I mean, if you're throwing optimal punches on somebody that's not moving and not trying not to get hit, then obviously do everything technically sound. But I mean, I don't know.
I can't see an argument to not try and be technically sound all the time because obviously nothing is fixed. You're talking about bodies in motion here in milliseconds, but not turning over your punches correctly because you could be leg kicked is a real bad argument for me. I can't see. It's not like you make yourself.
No, I think it wasn't not turning your punches over. I think what he said was not sort of like sitting down and rotating your
foot,
hips all
which is
the
turning
way.
which is turning the punch over. Like if you're because you can get leg kicked is not a good enough argument for me because you can get leg kicked no matter what.
I mean, it depends who you're going. If you're
It's
fighting,
not risk
if
reward
you're
on that.
if you're going against Edson Barbosa, maybe you don't want to sit into a punch as much as you normally would.
If you're going against Enson Barbosa, that's the last thing you really have to worry about anyway because he's going to be kicking you no matter what. I just don't think that
then you don't want
the
to
risk reward is not high enough to not turn your.
I don't know, Dave.
It's not high enough.
Dave,
There's
I
no.
don't know,
You
Dave.
can get. Shut the fuck up. You're going to get kicked.
I don't know, Dave.
You're going to get kicked.
Yeah, and it's
Can
much
I
better
get
to get.
the word?
It's much
Can I
be-
finish?
It's much better to get
No,
kicked.
shut up.
Not on the back of your
No,
thigh.
no, you're not listening to me. You're going to get kicked either way. They're going to kick your legs no matter what. The risk reward there doesn't tip the scales enough for me.
It does, though. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so that's why, like, the Diaz brothers, they know that their legs are open. So, like, Nick Diaz made a name for himself fucking destroying guys on the fence. Because now you can't fucking kick me. You don't have the space to rotate your hips and generate a good fucking kick.
The other thing is
he bodies you against the fence, then he opens up.
The other thing is the Diaz brothers are also volume punchers.
The Diaz brothers also get murked with leg kicks.
Yeah, but volume punchers can get away with that because they're not looking for one big punch, which might never happen. Which might never happen if you're fighting a leg kicker, but the volume puncher is going to land that volume, and the accumulation of blows is going to wear them down halfway through the second into the third round.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like when I fought Machi came out with the kick. You know, I'm a wrestler. He came out with the low kick. Like he wanted to fucking kick. Dude, that kid kicked me twice in the leg, and I'm telling you, for the next 2 weeks, I was fucking limping. Like
So
leg kicks are fucking.
Learn how to check kicks.
I check all the kicks. I've never been kicked in the leg in a fight in my
Really?
life.
I've been kicked in legs, and you know what?
It
I
fucking
learned how to
hurts.
start checking kicks.
Yeah,
And that's a game
I've
changer.
never been
I'm
kicked.
the
I checked the
brothers.
shit.
I'm the opposite. I'm such a sick fuck. Like they kick me in the legs and they're just like,
No, not me.
No.
I got that.
You check one good kick, man. They think twice again.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Like that's my whole thing. Like I come out, I'm a big checker.
check early.
I check early. First kick, I fucking check that shit as hard as I can. Like I'm trying to break their shin off, and that's it. No more leg kicks.
Yeah.
That's it. As soon as they bring their foot back, I'm already fucking firing and tripling them up on jabs.
Were either of you guys wrestlers?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. I started wrestling when I was 7. Started judo when I was 5. My feet are so heavy to the ground. Like I don't lift my legs enough.
I was terrible at checking kicks until
You start
I worked
you,
with
you,
them.
you,
Yeah,
until
can
you
build
work
it.
with a good leg kicker, and then
Yeah.
you're just like, fuck that. I just got kicked by Derek Panza. I can never let that happen ever again.
How bad is it?
Ever again. No, it's like he's like one of the people that giant legs. He weighs like 220, and you never want to get kicked by him ever again. Tim Lane too, who is like much smaller, but like the #1 kickboxer for above the waist rules. But he was good at leg kicking too.
Yeah.
That guy knocked me out with a body shot to the liver. I didn't even know what a liver shot was.
Oh, you didn't?
And I was like 18 years old, and ever after that, I've never eaten like a body shot ever since then.
You did know what a body shot was. No one just ever told you it. Getting the wind,
I didn't know what a liver shot was.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like getting the wind knocked out of you. No one ever
It
told
didn't-
you that was a liver
it wasn't,
shot.
The liver shot didn't knock the wind out of you. It steals your soul. It's not. No, it isn't like getting hit in the solar plex where you're like, oh, I can't breathe. I got kicked in the liver. I took 3 steps to the side, went down on one
No,
knee,
dude,
got blasted in the face, and I wasn't right for 2 weeks.
Dude, I fucking boxed with Derek Manji, dude. I've never the guy like at will can decide to dismantle me. Like everybody thinks Derek's fucking jiu-jitsu is fucking on point. His boxing is another level too. It's dude, like
I've heard he was very good at boxing. He won the Golden Gloves. Is that correct?
I don't know. I know he competed in Golden
Okay.
Gloves. I don't know, but dude, his boxing is so. It's just like his jiu-jitsu. For such a big dude, it's so smooth, so like like when you see a guy like that, you expect him in jiu-jitsu to be just heavy on top of you. Derek feels like a feather on top of you, and then all of a sudden he's fucking arm barring you. His boxing's the same way. You don't feel like he's peppering you with these light fucking jabs, and then once he like lets go of something. And dude, I've only been sparring. Like I only sparred with him like when I'm sure he's holding back. You know what I'm saying? Like I know he's not hitting me with. But he's hit me in the fucking liver, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to sit down on the ground real quick and think about life. Dude, liver shots suck. I'd rather be knocked out, knocked out than fucking liver shot, I think.
No, I've said that myself.
Yeah, especially when Keith hits you in the liver. God damn, does that suck?
I've never trained with Tremel.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a fucking... He looks like a fucking
It's a nightmare.
savage.
It's a nightmare. The guy doesn't take a step back.
He also doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, 0 fucks are given when it's time to spar.
He
Like
even,
0 fucks, doesn't give a fuck about
even
you.
the Golden Gooses,
Doesn't give a
even
fuck.
like Dre.
Doesn't
And,
give a fuck.
all right.
No, they spar hard.
0 fucks.
Yeah.
Dude, well, that's what the big complaint I hear about like our area is that like the sparring's too hard.
0 fucks
That's
are
what a
given.
lot of people say about like
This
Long Island MMA in general is that like the guys train too hard, that we're way too hard in the room.
Who says that?
I'm not gonna out anybody, but
It's-
No,
you know,
I've heard that. I've heard that
West Coast,
before.
West-
Really?
West-
And I'm
West
just,
Coast.
I just mean, I don't
People-
mean like particularly. I just mean I haven't really heard this.
People-
from West Coast guys from California that come out here and stuff like that. Other
Even in
people,
jiu-jitsu?
just like our MMA training.
Okay.
I mean like, and that's always been like a lot of people have said that about Law, about Weidman's camp, that those guys spar too hard. Same thing. I mean, not that it's Long Island, but AKA is a notorious like gym
Well, I've
for
heard that,
people.
yeah.
for
They're
people.
always getting hurt. That's why
Well-
everyone's hearing about it, because they got dudes with belts, dudes in the top 2, top 3,
Yeah.
and they're not making it to their fight because the 130-pound guy decided to train with Daniel Cormier or fucking Kane, and the next thing you know...
Yeah.
Well, I used to hear about that. I used to hear that, 10 years ago from Little Eric about Extreme Couture, that when they sparred,
It was the worst. I was out there 10 years ago. It was the fucking worst. You'd go in there and you'd feel like you had butterflies in your stomach. It was 100 times more worse than having an actual fight, because if you're fighting one person, that's like, all right, you get used to him after the first round. You sort of know what the fuck he's going to do. But when you're at Extreme Couture, it was like, oh, I'm fighting Mike Pyle, and he's having a bad day. Oh, I have to fight Jay Huron.
Mike Pyle was up here?
No, this is out at Extreme Couture in Vegas.
Oh, in Vegas.
Vegas. And then it would be like, oh, I have to fight Jay Huron next. Oh, that's cool. Oh, look, Ray Sifo, when he was fucking still fighting, would be down there. Oh, look, Eric, oh, how much do you weigh? 200 pounds? Oh, go with the heavyweights. Like that's like legit what would happen. And if you were new...
How long did you train there for?
I went out there a whole bunch of times. I would stay out there for like a week or so at a time because my friend lived out there.
I would never fucking want to fight with Sandman. Mike Powell, dude, that guy's a terrifying guy. Like,
dude, there was a couple dudes that trained out there that, like, when they say, like, yo, this guy's a gym stud, but they could never put it together to get themselves to, like, be in a top 10 in MMA. Mike Pyle and John Alessio. Two dudes that I got absolutely, when I tell you nowhere with, like, I felt like I had no business. Like, oh, man, I shouldn't even do the sport of jiu-jitsu after rolling with these guys.
Dude, you watch fucking Powell, the way he fights, dude. Like, the fights he wins, like, the only time he loses is when he gets knocked out early.
Yep.
If you continue fighting him, that's just hence the name Sandman. He sucks you in, dude.
I heard the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No problem.
I heard the same stories about Alliance too, and I witnessed it firsthand at Alliance MMA out in San Diego. I was out there, and I was there for 2 weeks in one of the pro classes. I won't name names, but lighter guys sparring, drops him, right? Guy gets dropped with a punch, and soccer kicks him in the fucking face.
What?
Afterwards. This isn't a sparring practice, man.
This is just regular fucking Muay Thai class.
No, this is just they had a sparring pro class.
Oh.
They were sparring. Guy got dropped, followed it up with a soccer kick to his face, which isn't even fucking legal, let alone in sparring. I was just like, holy shit.
Well, dude, it's legal.
And that guy
it's legal.
finished out like 5 more rounds after that.
It's legal where fucking Tonan's fighting, dude. Fucking
1FC, yeah.
I would love to fight in 1FC. I would love to fight in 1FC. I'm not up there yet. I'm gonna get a couple pro fights.
You gotta be careful. You have to be careful over there because China has some depth and fucking Russia has depth. Like, Japan has been like a joke lately. When was the last time you knew a good Japanese fighter?
Well, I'm also big, so that takes out most of the Chinese. That just
You're
leaves
saying
me,
that except for the giant Chinese, like fucking Yao Ming.
Yeah, but that leaves me with the Russians. Those are the only ones I have to contend with, and those guys aren't really super technical. Just meatheads that are on a lot of juice.
You think so?
Yeah.
The Dagestanis?
I'm not
Dude,
too worried.
the wrestling is technical.
No, 100%, 100%. Yeah. But you know what? I feel like if you're an organization, you shouldn't even sign those guys because they're all boring as fuck. They'll body lock the shit out of you and etch out that decision. They eat that decision out.
He's fucking. People love watching.
He's the only one though. Who else? Who else in the UFC?
Well, he's just so punishing and he talks shit to you while he's beating the shit out of you.
But he does
give up. I need title belt.
That was pretty gangster. Yeah. I have to fight for belt. You know this.
All respect to Edson Barbosa in that fight too.
Edson's tough, man. They fought twice now.
And he never. They fought twice.
I'm pretty sure, right?
No. That was the first time. And, dude, just respect to him. Still trying to throw it out there, trying to nail him with that head kick in the 3rd round. Yeah. Still trying to fucking chop his head off with that kick. So.
Now, what's crazy about that is Khabib literally walked him down. Yeah. Just walked him right down and made him fight.
Khabib Ferguson is probably more exciting than him and McGregor. At least for us.
I think so.
As
purists.
As actual MMA fans, not fucking casual fans. Khabib versus Ferguson is definitely way, way, way more exciting because
that style matchup is very intriguing.
It's all the wrestling style up alone. Khabib is a very control-focused wrestler, and whereas fucking Ferguson lives in the scramble.
Yeah,
he loves
chaos.
He loves making a mess of everything.
I'm not the biggest Tony Ferguson fan personality-wise, but the way that guy fights is unbelievable.
I think he's going to get hurt, though, in this fight because I think he's just going to get held onto and held down.
But that's where I'm interested. Who's going to win out? Is the scramble? Is creating situations going to win, or is the control going to win?
I don't know that he can create. Yeah.
He's not going to create a situation. I mean, when you look at people that are good situation creators versus
Khabib.
I'll say he's probably the best holder downer, but I know like other guys that are very.
He shuts those doors.
He does. He doesn't. There's no. Oh, I got poked in the eye and I'm letting this guy out. It's all I'm grabbing hold of you. And I've thought a lot about Khabib and why he's so good because there are other good wrestlers in MMA. He's good because he's able to hold on to guys in MMA fights in ways that they are unfamiliar with being
Hold on,
held
hold on.
on to.
Two things that have stuck out in my mind in my dissection of him.
You don't even have to get into the specific movements.
It's not even that. It's just two
Okay.
things he does.
Far
But
side
go ahead,
risk
you
control.
finish.
Far side risk
Far
control.
side risk
That's
control.
the first one.
I use that all
Far
the time.
side risk control.
I use that
and
in BJJ now. I use
Yeah.
that all the time too.
far side risk control and the way he shuts down everybody's hips.
He laces the legs. He laces a leg through all the time and won't let their hips slide out so that they can't get to their knees or get to their butt.
He is
full guard.
constantly, if you see him, even when he has that far side risk control, he's constantly breaking your hip down.
But forget the actual movements. The theoretical reason behind that is because the people he's fighting are not good from those positions because they are not used to being put in them
now we're dealing
by
with,
other people.
Now we're dealing with the 10th planet black belt, and I'm pretty sure Tony Ferguson's an all-American wrestler.
I don't know if he was all American, but I do know he was a wrestler.
Unless he trains a lot with somebody that's mimicking what Khabib does, he's not going to be good at it.
Of course, he's bringing in guys for camp for that.
Well, so I heard Barboza brought in Olympic level wrestlers who were having a tough time taking him down, and when he went against Khabib, it was just different.
Yeah, but the thing is, like an Olympic style wrestler, like it's not a Khabib. It's not a Khabib. It's like when I go.
Well, who is Khabib?
This thing about no. Have you ever gone against say you're in jiu-jitsu? Have you ever fought against a wrestler or trained with a wrestler that's very good, and you give up? He'll have you in a wrestling position that's like not a terribly dominant position, but you just can't get out because he's so good at that. That's his bread and butter. So you
had that with jiu-jitsu.
So you give the wrestler your back, and he's like, "Oh shit, I got this guy's back with the hooks in," just because you're more familiar with that move to get out of.
You mean that Khabib doesn't take those?
Khabib doesn't take those. Khabib keeps you in an awkward no man's land position that you're unfamiliar with getting out of, and just peppers you with short shots the entire time.
Far side wrist control, that's a very common wrestling position, just because it's now becoming, because of Khabib becoming like this MMA
Well, it's been around for even before.
That's like the same thing with Ben Askren. The 10th Planet guys call that position the trucks position, they fucking invented it. Wrestling, we've been calling that a cross body ride since the fucking dawn of time. So, I think sometimes, people forget that wrestlers know wrestling positions, and Khabib's a wrestler, and Ferguson's a wrestler, and Ferguson's going to be well acquainted with those positions his entire life.
I just think that Khabib's control is the difference maker.
I think he holds on much longer than other fighters are willing to hold on to certain positions. His forearms are conditioned more. He has a very tight body lock. The way that he holds his hands when he clasps them and he tightens down on the body lock and he torques and twists the people's torsos.
I agree, but also a lot of guys who go against Khabib aren't willing to pull guard. Tony Ferguson is going to pull guard.
That's the dumbest thing to do ever.
You're saying that, but yet we've seen him be super productive from guard and against
not against Khabib.
Not against Khabib, but look what he fucking did to Motown, whatever the fuck his name was.
I didn't see that fight.
Oh,
yeah, but
Michael
he's not.
Johnson
Kevin Lee. But Kevin Lee is not a dominating, suffocating wrestler, though.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yes, that's all he's got is wrestling. I mean, he had a staph infection, which obviously makes you tired. But dude, that staph infection doesn't excuse you getting fucking hit with elbows when you're
I didn't see that fight, but
definitely watch that fight.
I just can't. I have a hard time imagining anybody giving Khabib a problem from their guard.
The hardest part about this sport is that there's so many different ways to play the game, and I think it's the same reason why so many people count McGregor out and why so many people are hyped on his deck is because they really don't they don't understand. It's not saying that you don't understand, but there's so many different layers to this game compared to boxing, compared to kickboxing, compared to wrestling, compared to one sport where you only do one part of this sport. It's so layered that people someone seems so dominant until someone comes along and goes
and just has a new shtick.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course,
well,
but this isn't a new shtick, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who has he faced besides Barboza and fucking one other?
Talking to that mic, homeboy.
I'm sorry. So besides Barboza, and he has one other top 10 victory. Who can we pull up? Khabib?
Dos Anjos.
Yeah, okay, so Rafael Dos
He
Anjos.
piss mopped Dos Anjos.
Yeah, but then guess what? Dos Anjos.
Pat Healy
changed his game.
Pat Healy's a grapple heavy guy, wrestler type. Pat Healy is the poor man's Khabib up until that point.
And Michael Johnson, let's be honest, people have been fucking beating the shit out of him ever since.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I understand your point of view, but I haven't seen anybody wow me.
Who on that list is a top level wrestler?
Pat Healy.
No.
What, are you kidding me?
No.
Have you ever seen Pat Healy fight? He is a grinding wrestler type. That's what he
Yeah,
does. He
but he's
pressures
not-
you and wrestles you, and
Yeah,
that's
but
how
he's-
he wins all his shit.
But he's not a top level wrestler though. Like he doesn't have amazing wrestling. He doesn't have amazing wrestling background.
He has like I just said, he's a poor man's Khabib. He's the same style as Khabib. The same exact style.
Yeah, look at that record though.
and note that, and that's fighting in ACB.
He lost to Masvidal. I mean, I respect
Masvidal. Yeah, but
anybody who can wrestle can beat Masvidal. Masvidal.
Yeah, but
refuses
he fought Masvidal at the end of his career though also. But he was that type, and just because he hasn't fought another huge wrestler type,
I'm telling you right now, before fighting Khabib and Jim Miller,
he killed Jim Miller. That's a no contest guy. He got popped for marijuana, but he.
Oh really?
Oh my God, he beat the brakes off of Jim Miller.
I felt bad for Jim Miller at the end of that fight.
He beat Jim Miller from pillar to post.
But if you go down, dude, besides Josh Thompson was on fire at that time when he lost to Josh Thompson. So besides that, dude, you're right. This guy was fucking working people. It's crazy how quickly it changes for you in your career. Look at that. He loses to fucking Khabib, and then his career just goes down the fucking shitter. Who the fuck is Glibson Tebow?
Gleison Tebow, the biggest fucking lightweight of all time.
Yeah, he was like one of those guys that you're like,
that,
what is this guy, hollow?
Is he the 40-year-old guy?
No, he's look at that's
that's the 40-year-old guy. Oh, he's 34.
No, he's only 34.
Yeah, but he looks.
But my point is this: like, I get what you're saying, but I just don't think that the style to beat a suffocating pressure-based wrestler like Khabib, who also has power, his ground and pound he generates a lot of power. He's hurting you. I do not think that your 10th planet guard is what is going to crack that puzzle.
Well, it's not just 10th planet guard though. It comes with I'm pretty sure. Can we look it up whether he was an All-American wrestler or not? I'm pretty sure because
I know he's a wrestler. I don't know if he was All-American or not.
You
but
can't get that USA Wrestling tattoo on you unless you're an All-American.
No,
wrestler.
I know that. I just don't know if
I'm saying,
he is.
I know people do it, but I'm saying just my personal opinion as a wrestler. You're not allowed to get that USA Wrestling tattoo unless you're an All-American.
No, I know. Why does he have it?
Yeah, he has it.
Oh, I don't know if he does or not, but no, Tony Ferguson.
He's looking at Pat Healy.
Oh, you mean Tony Ferguson?
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck about Pat Healy. Sorry, Pat.
I know what you're saying. I don't think that. I know Tony Ferguson can wrestle. He's a very good wrestler, but I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see it. I just feel like with the way when I watch Khabib and when I watch Tony Ferguson,
the wrestling's early in the career.
Khabib to me, I think he's the superior wrestler, and I think the way he uses his wrestling, he's gonna not give Tony Ferguson the ability.
Champion. He was national champion.
Juco?
No, not regular. Oh wait, let's see.
NCWA.
What the fuck is that?
It's like JUCO or something, huh?
Central Michigan University.
National Collegiate Wrestling Association.
162 institutions. So that's not like the regular NCAA. What does that say?
It's got to be some type of...
Oh, okay, so teams that don't qualify for NCAA. So what happens if you don't know? That a lot of wrestling teams get the axe because of Title IX.
What the hell's
They
that?
don't have enough money to pay for the wrestling program.
Well, because wrestling is a sport that there's not a female equivalent.
Oh.
So they just axe wrestling, even though wrestling coaches have argued that wrestling is a
multi-gendered sport now.
That women can come try out for the team. No one's stopping women from trying out. So a lot of wrestling teams get the axe. So basically, it was like he won. The team he was playing for was like a club team because the school
didn't have enough money
to put up a wrestling team anymore because they would have lost funding for having too many male to female sports. I forget what the ratio is. But Title IX basically says, it's basically like admitting that male sports are more important. Like, hey, you have to have, for every this amount of male sports, you need to have this many female sports. Yeah, and you have to use the same amount of money, from what I understand, correct?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Let's look it up. Fuck it. Let's understand it fully.
All right, we'll get a great synopsis of this.
Yeah, from what I understand, it started out as athletics, and it's extended way beyond athletics.
Here we go over here. Title IX is a federal civil rights law in the United States that was publicly passed as part of the Education Amendments of 1972. Long title.
Just click on Wikipedia. You got it.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the short answer. Essentially, what it says is educational institutions that are publicly funded have to spend an equal amount of money on boys' programs as they do on girls' programs,
Okay.
even though the female or women's programs don't bring any money into the colleges or universities.
Or don't generate as much.
Yeah.
So you went to a school that hates
let's
that.
be honest. Let's be honest. They
Yes.
don't generate any.
Girls volleyball?
Probably very minimal. Very minimal. I had I worked at Madison Square Garden for a while. I had some conversations about the WNBA and how the whole thing is just paid for by Nike to sell little girls sneakers. Like the whole entire sports league.
Well, WNBA is basically floated by the NBA because they're tied together.
And Nike.
I'm sure Nike subsidizes the majority of it.
It's a Nike thing because they know if all of the women are wearing Nikes and all of the little girls are going to buy Nikes, basketball sneakers. But I used to have conversations because I'd be at Madison Square Garden while the Liberty were playing, and there'd be like 75 people.
They're living that live life.
Living that live life. There'd be 75 people in the crowd, and I would ask, I'm like, how does this stay open? And they'd say this is just subsidized by the sponsors, just to say that they're like giving something towards the women. And then the one guy that worked there,
it's sexism, bro. All right.
I guess it could be sexism.
People hate women's basketball.
It could be sexism, but sorry. But the funny thing was when they would let the PAL kids play basketball on Sundays and they would let the parents come for like $10 a ticket in the families, more people would come to that than would come to the Liberty games.
I mean, with the exception of women's MMA.
Are there any women's sports that anyone watches?
No, women's MMA. MMA is just it's so. I think it entertains people because it's so against our natural inclination about women and about how women behave.
I actually think women's MMA is getting a lot better.
Oh, especially the lightweights. I mean,
Yeah.
Rose Namajunas versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk is probably that's probably a billing card than most of the male fights.
Yeah,
and
it's coming. I think it's actually closing the skill gap quicker than I anticipated, and I think it's got a chance to be something real.
Because fighting has the same appeal to like women in gymnastics can do things that men in gymnastics can't do, and that's why people are like blown away by women's gymnastics. And I think like the same thing applies to MMA. Women have to be so much more technical than men. They can't depend on their strength. I'm not gonna fucking just be, unless you're Cyborg. I'm not gonna fucking beast mode somebody. I gotta fucking have the precision knockout.
I don't really like women's MMA that much.
Really?
There's only a small handful of female fighters that I enjoy watching, and I mean a lot of it is just
There's
like
only a small handful of male fighters I like watching.
okay. But I mean, I feel like all male fighters.
There's a larger pool though. In
male fighters. There's a larger
There's
pool.
more men doing it.
There's a larger
True.
pool of technical fighters. When I watch WMMA, especially if it's in Bellator or if they're two newer female fighters to the UFC, at least several times during the course of the fight, I see something where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what position is this? I don't even know what's going on right now. And I get embarrassed if there's new people to MMA that ask me what's going on, and I'm just like, oh, I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know what they're doing.
How about when Ronda Rousey introduces the headlock, and then every single woman on planet Earth was trying to fucking headlock people, and like they did not have the proper technique, and it was just landing to fucking suplexes and.
Well, we're getting near the end here, Mr. Potts. We've been going for almost an hour and 45 minutes, coming up to 2 hours. And I know Dave must have like a real hot date because he's got ants in his pants again. He's got his headphones off and he's like ready to run out the door.
Well, he's afraid that if she's gonna have the sweatpants on by the time he gets home. So.
I'm actually pro sweatpant.
So even if she has the strings tied on the sweatpants.
Yeah, it's of no.
Noted.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I got that from the movie Extract. If you've never seen it,
I've never even heard of it.
The guy dreads getting home late because his wife already has the sweatpants on, and he knows he's not getting laid.
Oh, I like
it's
that.
of no consequence to me.
That's like the polar opposite of when you're a teenager and you're at your girl's house and she has the sweatpants on. You're like, oh, yeah, get my hand down in there real easily.
Well, we got to get Dave home to his sweatpants.
Yep.
So let's call it a night.
Always a pleasure having you on, Mr. Potts. You're actually one of my favorite guests because we have some intelligent conversations.
I try my best. If you ask all my friends, they just think I'm an asshole. So
Because they're not smart. I'm calling it how I say
No,
it.
no. You are smart and subscribe to us on iTunes. We're now on iTunes, and you are smart.
Now on iTunes.
You are smart.
Podcast.
Shout out to all Mr. Potts friends.
I'm trying to get those hater likes. I'm trying to get people that want to watch us because they don't like
They
us.
just want to talk shit.
We're not up to that point yet, Dave.
We're not there yet, Dave.
Find somebody else to offend, another group, not our guests.